Okay, hello everyone. I want to welcome us all to this class. In this very video, we'll be looking at description of a straight line. That is y equal to mx plus c. Okay, straight line graph in physics especially. So here we can proceed. So let's start with the definition. Says the equation y equal to mx plus c represents a linear relationship between two variables x and y, okay? Where m is the slope of the line and c is the y-intercept, okay? And this equation is in standard form of a linear equation, often referred to as slope-intercept form. I think I would like to give a brief explanation here. Let's say we have a graph this way. Okay, we plot a graph of y against x. So y and x are the variables, okay? And for a straight line graph, we are going to have something like this. Let's assume we have something like this, okay? Now, the straight line graph has a slope here, which we'll call m, and also has an intercept. Intercept means where the graph touches the y-axis, okay? And the intercept here is c, that means c, this way. So this is what we are trying to deal with in this particular video. Okay, so let's move on. Now the component breakdown here is a breakdown of the components, okay? Y is called the dependent variable representing the output or the vertical axis on a Cartesian coordinate. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, let's proceed. Then x is the independent variable. Okay, so y and x are variables. Y is called the dependent variable, x is called the independent variable, representing the input or the horizontal axis on a Cartesian coordinate system. Okay, then m is the slope of the line, okay, which indicates how steep the line is. Okay, and a positive slope means the line goes from left to right, while a negative slope means the line goes down. Okay, I would like to say something there quickly. Is the fact that when you have your straight line this way, now, your graph, this is a positive slope. It steeps from left to right, okay? So, but when you have a graph that is like this way, going down from right to left, this is a negative slope. So for this here, your slope here would definitely be positive. M will be positive. But for this here, your slope M is going to be negative. Okay. Now that is important for us to note. So one of the important things is to know what graph gives a positive slope, which is what I just explained now, and also what graph gives the negative slope, which is also what I just explained now. Okay, so then finally we have c. C is the y-intercept. I've explained that. The point where the line crosses the y-axis, it is the value of y when x is 0. So the intercept is the value of y when x is 0. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so here we have different scenarios for different values of m and c. Okay, number one is positive slope, and I've explained that. Okay, let's see. The first is that the line goes upwards from left to right. I have explained that. The second is that a larger positive slope means the line is steeper. So when the line is steeper, it means that you have a larger positive slope. Then thirdly, the y-intercept c determines where the line intercepts the y-axis. I think we've spoken about that. We'll see more of that as we continue. Okay, now we have for the second case, Number two, for negative slope means m is less than 0. I've explained that earlier. The line goes downwards from left to right. From left to right. It goes downward from left to right. Or that's this way to explain that. Okay. So from left to right, it goes downwards. And a larger negative slope makes the line steeper in the downward direction. It's important you know that. So then again, the y-intercept C determines the point where the line crosses the x-axis. Okay, that's important for us to know. So we see the third case here, we have zero slope. Now, in this particular video, we are not going to concentrate ourselves with this, but it's important for you to know how a zero slope graph looks like. Now, when you say the intercept or the slope of a graph is 0, what that means is that, first of all, the line is horizontal. You have something like this. So when you see a straight line graph that is horizontal, it means that it has no slope. The slope is 0. Okay. Now, the next meaning here is that it means that y does not change as x increases. That's what that means. So y is constant no matter the value of x. Okay. Then thirdly, the y-intercept C determines the height of the line on the y-axis. And of course, that is the y-intercept. That is what we should know at this point. Now, the next is undefined slope. Now, when the slope is undefined, the line is vertical. So this is what an undefined slope is. Let's say you have a graph and this is a vertical line. That's an undefined slope. Okay. In this case, the value of x does not change as y increases. What that means is that x is constant. Now remember, you're plotting a graph of y against x. Okay. Now that is quite important for us to note. Now, but we are not going to be dealing with that in this video. So we are moving straight to, we are concerned with case 1 and case 2, where we have positive slope and negative slope. Okay, now we have the next, which is varying y-intercept C. Now, different values of C shift the entire line up and down along the y-axis. We are going to see that very soon. What that means is that there are cases of positive intercept. So let's assume we have our graph this way. This is positive y-axis, this is negative y-axis, this is positive x-axis, and this is negative x-axis. Okay, now when your graph comes down this way, let's say we have something like this, a graph like this. If you notice, this line cuts the positive intercept. So in this case here, the intercept is going to be positive. Now, but we can have cases. Let me clean this up quickly. We can have cases where the line crosses the negative intercept. We can have cases like this. You can see in this case now the graph touches the negative. So here we're going to have negative intercept. So the positive intercept is at the positive x-axis, positive y-axis, while the negative intercept, okay, let me use this highlighter. Okay, so in the positive x-axis, you have the positive intercept this way, but in the negative x-axis, you have the negative intercept this way. Now, that is important for us to note as we continue. Okay, so we start with this. Now, this is the first thing we are supposed to know is the direction of graphs and what it means. Now, this is the first graph I'm going to be showing us here in this video. I want you to observe something, that the graph passes through the origin. You see that? First of all, the graph has a positive slope, so that means slope is positive, and the graph passes through the origin. So this graph, the equation for this graph is y equal to mx. Simply y equal to mx. Now, why y equal to mx? Because there is no intercept. The intercept C is equal to 0. Why is it 0? And that is because the intercept crosses the the line, sorry, passes through the origin, like we see here. So when you see a graph this way, you can say that, sorry, when you see a graph this way, you can say that this is a graph that describes y equal to mx. Sorry, let me change this quickly. Okay, so you have y equal to mx. So that is the value for this graph. Okay, now we move on. That leads us to the next one. Now look at this graph also. There's something you can see here. First of all, is a positive graph. It is a positive graph. Why? Because it is increasing from left to right. It is increasing from left to right. As you go from left to right, it is increasing. Okay. Then secondly, again, it has positive intercept. That means plus c. Why? Because it cuts through the positive y-axis. Okay, so this graph is y equal to mx plus c. Okay, mx plus c this way. That is what this graph is. So y equal to mx plus c. Why? Because it is a positive. It has is a positive slope, then with also a positive intercept. Now let's proceed from here. Now look at this. A graph like this. What can we say about this? Now, first of all, the graph is positive. Why? Because the graph is increasing. The slope is positive, I mean. Why? Because the graph is increasing from left to right. Is increasing from left to right. Now, secondly, I want you to notice that the intercept for this graph is negative. Why is it negative? Because this is the negative y-axis. That is where the line is cutting the y-axis. Okay. Let me clean this quickly. Yes. Okay, so it means that this graph, a graph this way is y equal to mx minus c. Mx minus c. That's important for you to note. Okay. Then we move to the next one. Now look at this. It is obvious that the graph is going down as you go from left to right. This is the left here. As it's going from left to right, it is going downwards. That is a negative slope. So my slope is negative minus m, but my intercept here, c, is equal to 0. Why? Because it is passing through the origin. So this graph here is y equal to negative mx. That is what the graph is, y equal to negative mx. There is no c there because the graph passes through the origin. I want you to observe the differences between the graphs. That is very important for what we are going to do, achieve in this video. Okay, so now look at this. The same thing. It has negative slope. Slope is negative. Okay, and that's because it is stepping down from left to right. But so we can say that m here is negative, but we can also see here also that your c is positive because the graph is touching the positive y-axis. Okay, so we can say that this graph is y equal to negative mx plus c. That means negative slope and positive intercept. Okay, now that leads us to the next one. Here we have here in this graph, the slope is negative. Okay, so I can write here that m equal to negative. And we can also say that the intercept c is negative. Why? Because the line cuts the y-axis in negative, cuts the negative y-axis, so intercept is negative. So here we can say that the graph is y equal to mx, okay, negative mx minus c. Let me rewrite that. That's minus mx minus c. Okay, that's important. So that is it. Now we go into something new. I think I'm going to continue here in the next video. See you in the next video.